For more than a century, the Ozarks were quiet, a land of steep hollows, whispering pines, and endless sky, where the black bear had all but disappeared. Hunters, loggers, settlers, they'd nearly wiped the species out by 1900, but they came back. And in 2025, after 133 years of peace, the silence was shattered. Two men, in two separate parts of Arkansas, were mauled to death by black bears within weeks of each other. No one in living memory had ever seen anything like it. This is the story of the Ozark bear attacks.
Hit like and subscribe. This is Fierce.
In late September 2025, 60-year-old Max Thomas drove deep into the Ozark National Forest to a place called Sam's Throne Recreation Area. Locals know it as a rugged paradise. Rocks rise from the forest like broken teeth. The night sky burns with starlight, and Max, he wanted to sleep right under it. No tent, no cabin, just his sleeping bag, the wind, and the quiet hum of crickets echoing through the pines. He sent his family pictures that first evening. Photos of the cliffs, the trees, and a black bear that had wandered into his camp. At first it was thrilling, a story to tell later. He even messaged his son. Got a bear hanging around, he's curious but harmless. But the days passed, and then silence. No more texts, no more calls. His son, Andrew, grew uneasy. He knew his father was an outdoorsman. Careful, seasoned, the kind who double-checked everything before a trip. When Max stopped responding, Andrew called the Newton County Sheriff's Office. A deputy drove up into the recreation area, weaving along dirt switchbacks through the heavy trees until he reached Max's empty camp. No Max, no movement, just scattered gear. Then the deputy saw it. Drag marks leading from the camp into the woods. They followed the marks about 180 feet through the brush. There, among the leaves and ferns, they found Max Thomas. He had been killed by a bear, mauled and dragged from his campsite. Authorities believe it happened in broad daylight. The animal responsible, a black bear weighing between 150 and 170 pounds, was later tracked and killed nearby. Testing is underway to confirm it was the same bear. For the Ozarks, the news hit like lightning. It had been 133 years since the last fatal bear attack in the region. Now, it had happened twice in 1 month. The first tragedy struck earlier that September, more than 80 miles away in Franklin County, Arkansas. It was an ordinary morning on the Patton family farm. 72-year-old Vernon Patton climbed into his tractor to work his land, something he'd done regularly for years. As he drove, a shape moved from the tree line. A juvenile black bear, about 70 pounds, gaunt and malnourished, charged across the field. Before Vernon could react, it was on him, claws raking, jaws snapping. His son, hearing his father's screams, sprinted toward the tractor. He managed to scare the animal off, but the damage was done. Vernon Patton died 11 days later in the hospital. Authorities called it an extraordinary event, a perfect storm of desperation and bad luck. That bear, they discovered, was suffering from malnutrition and neurological damage, possibly diseased, starving, or poisoned. Wildlife officials described it as not functioning normally, but the attacks didn't stop there. When news of Max Thomas's death broke, panic rippled through the Ozark community. For generations, locals had hiked, camped, and hunted among black bears without fear. Most bears, everyone knew, avoided humans entirely. Now 2 men were dead, one in his own field, one dragged from his camp. Social media exploded with questions. What's happening to the bears? Are they getting used to people? Should we be hunting them again? Officials scrambled to calm the storm. Keith Stevens from the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission told reporters, "Our thought process was that this bear had probably had a few meals in that campground, maybe just people leaving scraps." In other words, this wasn't a rogue killer, it was a bear that had learned humans mean food. A single habit, a few left-behind camp scraps, may have turned a wild predator into a danger. The last time a bear killed anyone in Arkansas was in May of 1892. Back then, newspapers described a half-starved black bear that wandered from the woods to a frontier cabin. 2 children were playing outside. The bear attacked them both. After that, the bear population nearly vanished. Hunting, trapping, and deforestation erased them from most of the Ozarks. By the 1950s, Arkansas had only a handful of black bears left. Then came the Great Reintroduction. Between 1958 and 1968, wildlife officials brought hundreds of black bears south from Minnesota and Manitoba. those animals thrived. They spread into Missouri, Oklahoma, and back across the Ozark Range, reclaiming their ancestral territory. Today, Arkansas is home to over 5,000 black bears. Missouri has just over 1,000, growing at 9% a year. Even Oklahoma now counts more than 1,000. After 100 years of silence, the Ozarks are wild again. And with that wildness comes risk. The Ozark Mountains, rugged, beautiful, and isolated, stretch across 4 states. They're a patchwork of thick forests, limestone ridges, and endless hollows. When you camp there, you're not just in nature, you're in bear country. But here's the thing, fatal bear attacks are still extremely rare. A national study found just 5 deaths from black bears in the entire central United States between 1900 and 2009. That's 5 deaths in over a century. Yet, in the fall of 2025, 2 happened in 1 month. Coincidence or a warning? Experts say, don't overreact. Dan Zarlenga of the Missouri Department of Conservation wrote, "These 2 tragic cases involving black bears are highly uncommon, even in North America as a whole." Sheriff Glenn Wheeler echoed the same. "I don't want this to become open season on any bear that someone may see. Most bears fear humans and run away." Still, fear spreads faster than facts. What went wrong? In both cases, the bears were acting out of desperation, not aggression. The first was starving, disoriented, possibly sick. The second, the one that killed Max Thomas, had likely been fed by campers, either intentionally or through carelessness. When a bear starts linking humans to food, it begins to lose its natural caution. It gets bold, curious, even dominant. To a bear, that cooler full of sandwiches or that trash bag beside your tent isn't just garbage, it's a buffet. And when the food disappears, the bear may decide to investigate further. In Max's case, that curiosity may have turned into tragedy. Bringing bears back to the Ozarks was one of conservation's great success stories. But success has a cost. Each year, more people move into the hills, building homes, cabins, and campgrounds in what was once wilderness. Urban sprawl cuts deeper into bear country every season. Missouri officials warn that encounters will rise as bears expand north toward St. Louis. Zarlenga wrote, "Urban sprawl into more wooded areas will likely increase the chance of bear sightings and encounters. It's not the bears invading our world, it's us walking into theirs." The black bear is both feared and admired. To the early settlers, it was a symbol of the untamed frontier, something to conquer. To modern conservationists, it's proof that wilderness can heal. But after 2 fatal attacks, the question hangs heavy over the Ozarks. Can humans and bears truly coexist? Hunting is now permitted in all 3 states. Arkansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma each have bear seasons, tightly controlled, limited quotas. Last year, 15 bears were legally taken in Missouri out of a limit of 40. This fall, the season runs from October 18th to the 31st, only weeks after Max's death. For some, hunting is the answer, population control and fear management. For others, it feels like revenge. But nature doesn't think in revenge, it only reacts. When food runs low, when the forests grow crowded, when humans forget the rules of the wild, tragedy finds a way back. In the aftermath, investigators combed through Max's campsite. There were scraps of food nearby, maybe leftovers from earlier meals. It was enough to draw a bear in. Officials remind campers to lock away all food, not just trash, but toothpaste, deodorant, anything scented. Even a candy wrapper can trigger a bear's hunger response. For Max, that warning came too late. For the Patton family, it came too late. 2 men in 2 very different places, connected by the same truth. Wilderness doesn't forgive forgetfulness. Today, if you stand at Sam's throne at sunset, you can still hear the wind rustle through the pines. The forest looks peaceful again. Somewhere out there, bears still roam, silent, watchful, alive. And though their numbers are growing, they are still wild, still wary of us, unless we teach them not to be. Officials stress that these deaths, though horrifying, shouldn't turn to hate. The Ozarks remain bear country, and always have been. The goal isn't to fear the wild, but to respect it. Max Thomas came to the Ozarks for the stars, to sleep under the sky he loved. Vernon Patton died working the land that had fed his family for decades. Both men were victims of something older than us, something that has always existed beyond the glow of campfires and porch lights. For 133 years, the Ozarks knew peace between humans and bears. But the wilderness never forgets what it once was, and sometimes it reminds us. In memory of Max Thomas and Vernon Patton, whose stories remind us that wild places are still wild,